this is really important to recognize because we simply, in many cases, have just taken a one idea and substituted it for another. Now, I've talked about this before. This isn't new. I'm only talking about it this morning because I've added another step to it. But in step 2, as we begin to start healing this consciousness of two-ness, we begin to recognize that it takes conscious work. We have to work. We have to pay attention to what we're looking at in our lives. We have to make sure that we're not going on automatic pilot and just accepting things because everybody else is accepting things. And what we begin to see as we're paying attention is that in many areas of our lives, we have taken things, concepts, or God attributes like perfect health and wholeness and divided that concept against itself. Divided it into sickness and wellness as if they were different. As if they were different things, which they couldn't be because there's only one. And if we believe that they're separate things, what we'll tend to do is to experience the one and go looking for the other one. We begin to see where we have taken the God attribute of prosperity and divided it against itself, divided it into lack and abundance, as if it were two things. And it isn't. Lack is prosperity being expressed at the level of lack, isn't it? It would have to be because there's only one. If there were two, we could have both. But there's only one. And if we believe that they're separate, we'll experience the one and go searching for the other. We've taken joy, divided it against itself. I'm just kind of going through the attributes so you can see, am I doing this? Divided joy against itself into happiness and depression, as if they were two different things, and they're not because they can't be, because there's only one life. And when we understand this, when we recognize this, for me, when I began to recognize this, I began to understand why we got the first of the 10 commandments, which says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Because what it tells us is that anytime we make anything greater than God, anytime we make anything separate from God, we're going to have a problem. So this, what I'm talking about right now, is a great time to stop and take a look at your life and ask yourself, am I doing this? Am I doing this? Am I making disease greater than perfect health? Am I making disease separate from perfect health? Am I dividing it against itself? Am I making lack greater than prosperity? Am I making lack separate from prosperity? Am I dividing it against itself? Am I making depression greater than joy? Am I making it separate from joy? Do I feel like I have to go and find joy? So seeing that that's this second step of identifying duality thinking that I'm talking about, we put the truth of ourself back together. See, in the first step, we put God back together to recognize that there aren't two powers. In the second step, we put the truth of ourselves back together to recognize it's all God as me. It has to be. See, in every area where we have divided ourselves against ourselves, in every area where we have divided ourselves against the truth of ourselves, we have to put it back together again. Bring it all back into the circle. Someone recently just shared with me about, now I can't give details because I didn't ask to talk about it, but someone recently just shared about a very good outcome in a health challenge. A very good outcome. And they said, and what helped me, Dar, was when you reminded me that it's all God. That no matter what's expressing, it's got to be God. What else could it be? See, but the thing is that when we recognize that it's God, we recognize that it's also love. We recognize that it's also infinite. And that no matter how it's expressing in our lives right now, there are infinite number of ways for it to express. So we have to put the truth of ourselves back together again. I'm no longer divided against myself. Jesus told us that, didn't he? He said, a house divided cannot stand. So no matter what form anything takes, no matter what it looks like in my life, it has to be God. It has to be God as me. Okay, so you know that, right? We all know that. We talk about this all the time. And also, just to go back to what I said earlier, once you begin to eliminate yet another step, up pops another one where you begin to see, whoa, there's another area in my life where I'm dividing things up. Now, one of the things that we have learned in Science of Mind, is that if you want to know what's in your consciousness, look at your world. Everybody heard that, right? Everybody's heard that. Okay, so, and we've done this, and we've done this well to a certain extent. We've looked at our health, we've looked at our finances, we've looked at our happiness, we've looked at our relationships, but we haven't quite done what it told us to do. At least not all that it told us to do, because it says, look at your world.